Welcome, everybody, to the XPAND podcast. This is your host, Zarin Beatty, and I'm here with the one, the only, Casey Patrick Levins Nicholas.
Okay, so just to preface for you guys, right before we hit record on this, I told him my full name, which is Casey Patrick Levins Nicholas. And anytime I tell people that, they don't really believe me. They're like, your name's not Levins Nicholas. And then I take out my birth certificate, which I carry everywhere for proof. So
Brilliant.
yeah, here we are. Thank you for that introduction.
You're welcome.
The one and only.
The one and only.
I guess so.
You're the only one that I know.
There's actually a Casey Levins in Hawaii that just surfs all the time. And I see him on Facebook and I'm like, bro, like, that's me. He's like 60 years old and he's just always surfing.
That's a life.
Yeah. Also, he has a shaved head, which
That's kind of like you now.
I mean, I don't have a shaved head now, but there was a day where I had a shaved head.
I shaved my head probably about 6 years ago, like razored it.
Yeah.
Definitely different. Picked it, and definitely different from me having 24-inch long hair, about a year ago.
Yeah.
But everybody, for those who don't know Casey, he has done a lot of our videos. You did the kind of the Become the Program video that this program is coming out around the end of the year. And you are, man, hands down, one of the best videographers that I know, and without a doubt in Boise. And I tell you this all the freaking time, and we have discussed a lot about these comments, and to watch you grow over the past few years of knowing you from a business standpoint, from a friend standpoint, and just from another human being here in Boise that I see weekly, just around town. It's been freaking beautiful, man, to really watch you go deeper into yourself and pull the gems from understanding who you are internally and really reveal them and show them to the world around you, and really brighten up your behavior and your interactions and your relationships and your business direction, man. I really do freaking love you. I appreciate you. I've been wanting this podcast ever since we started this freaking thing. So thank you for being here.
I don't want to sound generic, but I just wanted to express that it's such an honor to be on the podcast with you. Like you said, it's a long time coming, and we've had many very meaningful conversations, and our friendship means so much to me, and you're a gift. And honestly, it's been a gift to be able to create those videos for you. And as you're describing, our tenure together, I just can't help but express gratitude. I'm just so grateful. And this is just the beginning. This is literally just the beginning.
It's the beginning. And maybe this is a good time to, talk about this on the podcast, but we are almost a year in to our podcast. That's perfect.
Better? Okay.
We are almost a year into our podcast, and we will have over 52 episodes released in our first year, which is essentially one episode per week. And where the point I'm at, I really do feel like the first 104 episodes are the real beginning of a podcast. And that is essentially one episode a week for 2 years running. And this is the beginning, man. This is the beginning of our relationship, even though we've had years to get to know each other. This is the beginning of this podcast. This is the beginning of our platform, of your internal growth. And to really kind of come back into that kind of perspective, man, that true beginner's mind, also with a little bit of experience to kind of learn from and go off of. It's so essential. And I really do see you implementing that right now. And you have been meditating from what you've told me.
Mm-hmm.
Your hour of power every day, and you're a different person, dude. I feel it from you. I can really tell in your behavior and your demeanor and your composure. Not just with me, but literally watching you walk across the street, bro. Literally, people move differently when they meditate and when they understand and comprehend who they are more so than before. So thank you for the work you're putting in.
Mm. It's actually really interesting that you say thank you, because meditation and frankly, what I do is I mean, I hope you don't mind me sharing my perspective on it, but I pray.
Yeah, totally. This is why we're here, bro.
This is why we're here. I pray and I journal and literally just like let the hour go, and wherever my intuition takes me, I'll go there. Sometimes I lay flat on the ground with my face like in the carpet. Sometimes I'm journaling. Sometimes I'm walking back and forth. Sometimes I'm declaring things about myself to myself in the mirror. But whatever it is, it doesn't just affect me, it affects others. So I find it interesting that you thanked me for that, because it actually it goes beyond me, and it's not for me, but it's for the betterment of others. Not literally, and that's just the end. It's not a means to an end. It's for others, period.
Yeah, we had one of the best discussions I've ever had the other day, and that was a big topic of our discussion, was our growth really does help the people around us grow. And what's around you is within you, and what's within you is around you. And your presence, man, your growth is around me. Therefore, it is literally being interpreted inside of my being, in my nervous system, in my perspective. And you can influence me for better or worse. Now, a lot of that, excuse me, is my own interpretation of that. A lot of that could be filtered through insecurities or desires or agendas or motives with you. But your responsibility to be that pure potential of yourself is really the only thing that we can do for other people. And there's a really beautiful Ram Dass quote, something like, I can't do anything for you but work on myself. You can't do anything for me but work on yourself. And it's so powerful.
Wow.
And your hour of power, however that looks for you, that's why I love bringing this up, dude, in discussion, because meditation can be a plethora of different things. It can be walking meditation. It doesn't just have to be sitting down in the dark with your eyes closed doing nothing. I'm really trying to help shine a light on that concept. Entering those deeper states of perspective can be achieved under many different circumstances. So thank you again, bro, for following your intuition. And it's so empowering when you can see these results in the people around you and show up as more of your true self and have me give you feedback on that. It's so healthy.
Yeah. It's interesting, man. I think in the last 6 months or so, I have little by little, layer by layer, realized that my value as a person was based so much on people's perception of me. And so for around a decade, I tried to be something just so people would see me as something. And if they didn't see me as something significant, then I didn't feel significant. But what I realized is that my value is inherent and I'm born with it, and there's nothing that I can do to change it. As if I can take credit for who I am. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
And that, there's more to that. It's a little bit of a complex thing, which I think is why life is a journey, is because all the simple things that we learn actually have a lot of complexities, and it takes time and a process to navigate understanding those complexities. And so there was an event that I went to a few weeks back. It was called the Now Conference, or Now Gathering. Anybody listening that went to that, or Liberty Fleming, if you're listening to this, you're probably thinking like, why did he say that? I'm just kidding. But no, I remember at that conference, I was like, man, why wasn't I asked to help with this conference? And I would look at people up on stage talking and be like, I could do better than them, or, whatever. And I would think like, why wasn't I asked to do anything? Like I would love to like even take out the trash here, whatever. And that thought on a surface level looks humble, because it's like, I'm willing to take out the trash. But like behind that was actually an agenda. I wanted to validate I wanted to bring up my value through work when my value is already there. Work doesn't raise or lower my value. My value is already there. And I remember getting so jealous and frustrated that weekend that I didn't want to be there anymore. And I actually had a really hard time talking to anybody when we were mingling. And I can't remember exactly the moment, but something shifted in our last session. So this event, the Now Gathering, is a gathering for millennials. It's an annual gathering. And this year it was just a really powerful event. We had people from all around the world come to it. And it was just a really powerful, jam-packed event. I had a friend, such a generous friend. He like bought my ticket to it, and it was like a VIP pass. So I like got free merch and stuff. And I was just like so blessed. But like that night, there was this shift, and I don't remember exactly what was said or anything. I just remember there was like a shift in understanding that I am already incredibly valuable. And even on my journey as a filmmaker, and rewind, to before, I've done a lot of public speaking. I've been on the radio ton. I've been on other podcasts. I have, traveled the world, and I've, there's all these things that I could wear as badges to make me feel better about myself. And I would always tell people that don't know me, like, hey, like I have credits and they transfer, like, you know what I'm saying?
It's weird that we almost feel like we have to do that in the modern day. Because we need to seem credible to promote ourselves, or there's so many different reasons. I battle with that myself, but that's a whole different level of discussion.
Oh my gosh.
It's so fucking weird, man. It goes against that deeper part of
I feel
myself.
this conversation, like I actually feel like this conversation can like go in so many different passionate directions 100%. Right now.
100%. Where do you want to go?
It's up to them. No, I'm just kidding. It is kind of weird because there's no feedback,
Yeah, totally. But that's the beauty in this.
That's the beauty of it.
People can feel like they're just in a discussion, man.
Yeah.
They're a fly on the wall. It's the feedback we've received when people just become genuine and real with each other. Mm-hmm. When it's in person, not over the phone. I don't do episodes over Zoom or anything because I feel like there's a disconnect.
Yeah.
That may change in the future. I'm kind of working on that. But there's something very beautiful about two people being face to face with nobody else around, and there's an opportunity to really express yourself.
Dude, can I get vulnerable?
Bro, this is what we're about.
This is why we're here. Okay, so what I'm about to tell you, I think is actually the other side of the coin for me when it comes to value. And honestly, it goes back to childhood, but I'm not gonna like tell my whole life story. But bro, so although I have a lot of those like badges that I tote around, you know, Broadcaster of the Year award, I have my bachelor's in theology. I just have all this experience like public speaking and like stuff like that. And like, I'm like, I don't know. I just have these things like I'm a really good filmmaker, whatever. And, I actually believe I make the best films of anybody in Idaho. And I just have this self-assurance. But on the other side of that is actually a very insecure and broken and deeply troubled side. And, I mean, just to talk about the externals, going back to high school, I got a 2.0. I graduated with a 2.0. I mean, I graduated, so that's cool. And then after that, I got fired from 7 jobs. Literally every job that I got hired, I also got fired from them. I failed my first year of college. And between the end of 2015 and the beginning of this year, actually, I got arrested 12 times for no proof of, or no, it was, so I got pulled over in 2015, got a ticket for no proof of insurance, didn't go to court for that. So there's a failure to appear, which is a bench warrant. So got arrested. That was a terrifying experience, humiliating to have my mugshot up there after also having all these like badges, like just like this Casey, this perception of Casey that people see, like he wouldn't, what? There's a mugshot of Casey online. Like that's not Casey. Like that's not him. And, so there was this contrast, this tension, like this paradigm. And I remember the first few times I got arrested, my friends would text me and be like, "Hey, man, are you okay? What's going on?" And then, bro, after the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th time, 10th, like people just stopped reaching out to me. People just saw me like I saw myself, which was a victim. I saw myself as a victim to my issues. And I'm naming all of the externals. Like I'm literally just naming all of like I got a 2.0 in high school, got fired from 7 jobs, all of that. Like those are all external things. But really what it was deep down was like I felt like I was a victim to just a certain trajectory of life, and there's nothing I can do to change it.
Bro, first of all, thank you so much for sharing that. You won't believe how much that'll help people to hear. The more vulnerable people get on our platform, like the bigger the ripple of people really resonating with another person who has achieved forms of success but can still struggle along the way. It brings this experience as a human being into such a grounded reality that it really does show people we can get through dark times even after being through the best of times, bro, to find more beautiful times.
Yeah.
You are a walking example of that. And you are hands down one of my favorite people. We can legitimately sit here eye to eye and be deeply comfortable. I mentioned that last time we talked. There's something very different about you and about our relationship that has evolved in the past few months.
Hmm.
You've literally become a different person.
Hmm.
And it's so unbelievable to see.
Hmm.
There's so much to go from right here.
Yeah,
There's so much.
dude, totally.
One thing that's so beautiful is that we've really been able to be there for each other through some hard times. And we don't have to go into any details. And
Yeah.
there's no reason to go into details. But the aspect of being there for one another, and then when the other person fucking needed somebody, that person was there. And that means so much to me, dude. Because we are people, man, and we all go through hard struggles.
Yeah.
Internally, externally. Dude, fuck. I was on probation in high school. A lot of people don't know this. I got caught up in a weird scenario. Things happened, and we learned from what we go through. There's so many things that we try so hard to appear to be a certain way for the most part. And when we put ourselves mentally in that box, dude, it creates this incredible form of stress. And it's a stress that only a matter of time will make you crumble.
Yeah.
And then when things, I don't know what it is, man, the universe or God or something divine, when the time is right, you will be grounded and humbled and brought back to your genuine reality, whether it's by your own will or by some cosmic form of alignment.
Yeah.
And we've probably both experienced those things in both ways. Willfully in this universal thing that happens, and we're just like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
Here's a shift.
Yeah.
But what do you do from those moments? How do you overcome that adversity? That's where it's so powerful when you think about hard times bringing you into a better behaving human being. So I don't believe that you would be meditating right now if you haven't been through hard times. It's like when we get injured, that's when we realize mobility and tendon strength is very essential. We have to have these shifts in what's happening for us to really reroute and apply better tools.
For real. Yeah. There's two things that come to mind for me is recognizing that I am a victim until I realize that I'm not. That's the first thing. And that life is only happy when you're making progress. It's never about perfection, but it's only about progress. As soon as you stop progressing, you're dead inside. Like that's when you actually like being stagnant or in one place, I don't think actually exists. I think that if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. And
is that progress? What is progress?
That's a good question. That's a really great question.
Is it subjective? What is progress?
For me, I think progress looks different for everybody, but for me, it's been making my like taking my chaos and bringing order to it. And that's like 80% a psychological thing and 20% like a mechanical thing. And I've only been meditating for the last 3 weeks. So like actually actively seeking my hour of power. And so I'm just barely at the beginning of my journey. But I think that for me, specifically, and just to go back to the what is progress thing, for me, I had thousands of dollars of fines that I owed to the Idaho state government. And I had I had community service days that I needed to serve. And so getting those taken care of was progress for me. I had 18 people that I needed to call from basically just bad business practice from last year. And that's a totally different conversation. I didn't bring that up, but basically last year I was just really depressed and you want it to be closer. Okay. I thought you were saying, okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Is this better?
Yeah. That's perfect.
Okay. Perfect. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Okay, cool. I'll say it a little louder for the people in the back. Yeah. I'm just really grateful to be here, by the way. Like, I just think that this was definitely like a long time coming for sure.
We came here at the right time.
Dude, for real. I think Zaren's asked me many times to be on the podcast and I'd say yes, but like I would say yes with my words, but like my soul said no.
Wow.
But like now it was just like, it was perfect timing. And I'm sure we'll do more podcasts in the future.
This already, man, 30 minutes in, this is remarkably powerful. Remarkably powerful. And something before we kind of progress from here, something that's happened in the last 30 minutes. I freaking love so much that you shared these reactions to that now gathering that you had in your thought patterns. These literally not responses, those are reactions to something. Okay?
Yeah.
This immediate outburst or reaction to external stimulus.
Yeah.
So one thing that I have learned as deeply as I'm able to, that with meditation, we can limit the time that we are inside of that reaction. So you mentioned that it disrupted your behavior and your system of operation for that whole weekend.
Yeah.
Okay? I get those feelings. I get those thoughts, these immediate reactions to when I meet somebody who may be a lot taller than me, to something that triggers a reaction. But the beauty in whatever is your ability to hone back in to your actual grounded behavior, your internal grounded depth of gravity, quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker, to where you can see that reaction, not fucking lose your mind inside of it, hone back in and move forward. And now at that point, it's almost as if it's a piece of information that you're aware of that you just be mindful of. Was that real? Was that not real? Let me actually meet this person. Is this an insecurity of mine? Let me actually have a discussion with this human being. Oh shit, this is actually one of the best people I've ever met. What? Dude, the last year, this is so mind-blowing to me. The 3 best people that I have built a relationship with this last year, I had immediate thoughts that I didn't like them. Imagine if I would have let that control me.
Yeah.
It's so nuts, man. And to bring that back to just an open, non-judgmental perspective. That's what meditation is, quicker and quicker.
Dude, no,
So-
that's...
Well, you're the awareness of that right now. That is such a major part of the process, is recognizing that even happened, Casey.
Yeah.
That's enormous.
Dang, bro. This is power. The fact that we have negative emotions shows that we're functioning like normal functioning human beings. That's just part of the human experience. But those negative emotions, like a lot of times we see them as bad when really they're a key to understanding ourselves. If we just were to sit back and listen to those negative emotions, we would find the solution. would find the solution. And I think that weekend, okay, just to go a little bit into another part of my personal life. So I'm dating my best friend. She's just like super cool, super dope. I love her. We've been best friends for a better part of a year, and we've just been on this really interesting dating journey as she's like watched me go through the stuff I'm going through, and as I'm watching her, like we just have kind of gone through a lot of different phases of our relationship. And that weekend, I saw a major distinction in our interactions with one another before and after that shift happened. And before that shift happened, where I was really insecure and jealous and judgmental, I was also very codependent with her. And I was really hungering for like affirmation, and like I just was very insecure and codependent. And then after the shift, I could give two shits what she thought about me. And I didn't care what anybody thought about me. What I realized, and to go into like a little bit of the theology, I believe that I am a son of God and he is my father. And that is my identity. That is my value. Nothing else determines my value. And it was in that shift that I realized that. And it was in that shift that I realized that nobody else's opinion matters, including the one that I love. So I just remember like after that, the next day I was like, I felt totally different in general, but towards her. And it's been like incredible with us since then.
Two things.
Okay.
One, you have mentioned recently that you doing this hour of power has kind of been your time with your father, the time with God, that you're able to learn from that divine force, that spirit, that entity, that energy, whatever it may be for somebody. And you saying that a few seconds ago and me hearing what I just said a few days ago, it's so beautiful to see how people can come to very similar lessons and conclusions from different backgrounds. And that's one of my favorite things about you is you have a very religious background in Christianity.
Yeah.
And my background might be in something different, but we can come together, and every one of our discussions is sharing gems from both aspects of information without judgment. Bro, I never feel judged by you.
Dude.
Never.
And same with you.
It's so powerful.
Yeah.
And then we can find these commonalities in this cosmic information. And you help me grow so much. I love when you tell me Bible verses because I don't know them very well. And they don't ever come like you're talking down on me or whatever. You're literally just sharing a piece of your perspective. And that's enormous for growth for everybody.
Yeah.
And to really be able to share information, like if this person likes it, awesome. If they don't, cool. It's not up to me if they receive this, but this is what I'm able to offer and share. Can I do this from a genuine place? If they aren't receiving the information, is that my problem? How am I even directing this towards them? Is there some crazy weird like, oh, I'm saying this because I think if they don't do this, then they're wrong. These are the kinds of aspects of the internal workings that we can really get into if we just become more mindful and pay attention. And when you get your love from yourself and divine entity, spirit, then other opinions are just other people trying to figure their own shit out.
We're all on a journey, man. We're all trying to figure this out. Yeah. And I think to go on with what you're talking about with sharing perspective is like one thing that I'm processing right now that I'm realizing, and honestly, I don't really know exactly how to put it to words yet, but I think that the whole goal of life is not to become rich, not to be a like for me, I think all those externals will happen one day. I actually believe that. And if they don't, that's fine. But it's only fine if I recognize what I'm about to say. But it's not about how much money you make. It's not about being a professional in your field. It's not about being, the best dad and the best husband and like that. Those all sound like really good things. And you're probably like, Casey, where are you going with this? If it's literally like, if you're not in those roles without these two things, generosity and gratitude, you're going to feel empty. And I actually one thing I'm realizing is as millennials, I mean, we hear it all the time, like we're entitled and there's all these things these stigmas that people throw out on us. And for me specifically, I'm the youngest of 6. And so I was used to, everyone taking responsibility and wiping my ass and, what I'm saying? Like, so, going into my mid 20s, I still had those thought patterns and those expectations, but now I'm like, wait, I want to be I want to be able to be generous. And that actually doesn't start with resources. It starts with the heart. And if I have like a generous heart, then the resources are going to come. And then the other thing I talked about is gratitude. Like, man, I am so grateful that I woke up late this morning. Like that is an opportunity. That is an opportunity for me to choose joy. And I know that sounds really like generic, but like being grateful for the things that are harder to be grateful for, and then also being grateful for the things that are easy to be grateful for. It gives you this spectrum that life is a gift. Everything in life is a gift. All the trials and all of the achievements, the ups and downs, the mountains, the valleys, everything is a gift. And I was going to this event a couple weekends ago, and on my way there, I was getting off the connector in downtown Boise, and I just started thinking about all the individuals I was about to see. And I used to feel really just like self-centered and critical and like, how can I make the best impression here? How can I, I need to network well. I need to grow my business, whatever. And I would think about all of these things that were actually self-serving. But in this moment, and I cannot take credit for this. That's why this is such a gift. Meditation, prayer, hour of power, all of that, literally all the things that come out of it is a gift, and you can't take credit for it because it's not you controlling it. Like I was possessed with this incredible gratitude for everybody I was about to see. And it was, it was almost like I was on my deathbed and all these people were gathered around my bed, and I was just going like one by one, like saying the last thing that I want to say to them. And it wasn't that I was thinking that this would be the last time I saw them. I know a lot of people talk about that, like live your day like it's the last day or whatever. But like, I genuinely I don't know, bro. I just loved being around all those people. And it was like just such a gift. And what was crazy is it was like, I was asking God, like, God, teach me how to actually love people. And what I felt like he spoke to me was like, you're loved. Like you are of high value. And when I understand that I am of incredibly high value and I actually have like all the resources of heaven at my disposal, then I look at others that way. And it's like, dude, no, like you're a gift. And so anyways, gratitude and generosity, man, like anything in life is empty without those. Like I don't own a business to become a successful businessman. I don't own a business to become a multi-billionaire. I don't own a business to look good or to sure, I do it to provide for my future family, of course, but like the sole mission, and this is just an example, the sole mission of my business that I'm actualizing is like, I genuinely just want to like make your business more successful. How can I do that? Like, and if I can actually move forward in that, like that right there is the whole, like that is where I get my fulfillment. I don't get my fulfillment after I get paid after the invoice. That's not at all where I get my fulfillment. I actually get my fulfillment in the output. And it's through the output that you get the import. Like it's all just like a flow. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, anyways, that's, and it's kind of funny. I kind of led into this saying like, I don't really know how to put it to words, but like, it's just something that like when you really tap into who you're supposed to be, every human being deep down knows that our purpose goes beyond ourselves and that our potential goes beyond our lifetime. And, man, I could just keep going, bro. Like but I'll stop. Yeah. I'm not going to apologize for like continuing to talk. I just really feel like that was the direction. Yeah. I mean, what do you guys think? Do you guys want to chime in?
Bro, that was beautiful. That was a whole encompassed expression from different angles. And one of the most beautiful things about it was that it is very easy, from my opinion, for people to say what you just said and have it just be words. But you were coming with that expression, at least in the beginning portion, with a deeper understanding. And that comes across very differently. It means that you are actually embodying those lessons and processing that information to have it come forth with more gravity, more pull, more push, more resonance. Unfortunately, I hear a lot of people talk about gratitude or whatever, and it just feels uprooted. It feels like it's a regurgitation from something else that they've heard. That's not how that expression just felt. And it felt like you were in the midst of processing the information, as we all are at our own level. And that is so beautiful. It's so powerful.
Bro.
That's what's so wild about feeling the presence of a human being's base of energy, or the words they choose and how it comes, like all of these nonverbal cues and the verbal cues and what they're doing. It creates this accumulation of a present being. Another really cool thing that you mentioned was it's hard to take credit when you meditate, or it's hard to take credit when these downloads come, because it's not you doing them. And it's so incredible because you're literally, if you're doing it well or right, you're allowing the process to just be the process.
You let go of the control.
1400%. You let go, you allow, you perceive, you receive, you become a part of, how can I put this? It's almost as if there's a separation between idea and yourself, but there's also a thread that binds the two. It's like when you're able to truly step back in your perception and observe something, that's when you can understand that it's not just this one idea that you thought it was. This idea is morphing from different areas, from different concepts, from other things other people said that are influencing what's morphing the actual middle. It's this beautiful accumulation and just ever flowing, ever adjusting, ever adapting, ever expanding form of universal energy. That's where it's such a beautiful process to just allow it to be without judgment, because there's so much to learn from This idea of I did this, it separates that broader perspective.
Yeah.
And this brings me to a really beautiful thing that keeps coming up in discussion from the both of us is how you approach the moment. We've talked about how we approach the moment is literally, it blossoms the beginning of the rest of our future. Your intentions, your behavior, you're talking about gratitude, man, and appreciation and generosity. That's how you are approaching the moment. That is blossoming the rest of your future. If you're coming at any topic with more self-assertive, self-deserving aspects, that is blossoming the rest of your future. From that moment, how we approach any moment creates the ripple of any response thereafter. If we can become more mindful, more aware of the influences that are determining our behavior, aka our approach, that's when we can really grab a hold on what's even happening in our life, man. And perhaps start to recalibrate one of the only things that we have any control over, which is our fucking behavior. We are in the middle of that somehow, bro.
Yeah.
You're doing that. I believe somehow I do my best to do that. And it's just, that's where I value mindfulness so much, dude.
Yeah.
And other people's growth. You're showing me a completely different part of this same picture. And that, it's so unbelievably invaluable.
Yeah.
Community, tribe, everything,
Bro.
dude. It's so important.
Dude. So, just to bring it back, are you done?
Yes.
Okay. That's kind of a rude way to
No.
to like ask that. Okay. Are you done? Can I go? No, to bring it back to that event that I went to, the Now Gathering. So Becky Tirabassi, she was the last speaker. Incredible lesson that she taught. And literally, if I were to encapsulate everything that I learned that weekend into one phrase, it would be pray for an hour a day. And that's what she has been doing every day for the last 43 years. She was like, I haven't missed one day, and my life has been incredibly powerful. And she's so she pastors this church down in California, and it's not like a mega church or anything. It's not like really big and opulent and everybody knows about it or whatever. But like, that's not what it's about. What it's about is recognizing that we have an opportunity to connect to an extraordinary presence. Something that supersedes and transcends time and space and matter and ourselves. Like, we have an opportunity to connect with that. And that is what matters. The fact that I have direct contact with a being that is literally infinite in love and in mercy and in kindness and all the good things that you can list is powerful. And not only is it for me, like for my own self-actualization, but it's also for the good of others, the good of all mankind. And again, like, this is something I'm processing right now. Every day it's something that I feel like I'm just kind of like groping at, that I don't really fully understand, is this idea that like my life is only like, I am only here for the betterment of others. That is it. And a quote that we talked about a few days ago from Mother Teresa is to seek to understand and not to be understood. And bro, I can tell you so many times when I'm in a conversation with someone and I'm not listening to what they're saying because I'm thinking about the thing I'm going to say next to make myself feel better about myself. And I'm like, dude, like right now, I feel like there's this, like before the actual Casey was in a straitjacket with a bag over his head in the trunk of the car, and there was this really insecure, prideful Casey driving the car. And through the hour of power, I've been taken out of the straitjacket, and I can see and I can hear the actual insecure Casey driving this car. And it's like, wait, no, let me take the driver's seat. Like, let me take the self-actualized Casey and put him in the driver's seat. And that is where we're going to be successful. And so like in conversation, I just feel myself like even right now, like I'm going to be honest, in this conversation, there's this inner dialogue, like, okay, breathe, calm down. Oh, you should tell him about this experience. That would be cool. Oh, like there's this like inner dialogue of like, if you were to say this would make you look better. Or if you were to say this would make people feel this way about you. Like, if you know what I'm saying, like there's certain things that inside of myself that's like, that has a very purely selfish agenda. And I think as human beings, in the act of the principle of generosity, when we begin that path of generosity, there's always going to be a grain of selfishness. It's always going to be there. I was having a conversation with my friend this morning, and one thing he said, we were talking about generosity, and one thing he said was like, he's like, yeah, dude, like in generosity, it's never going to be fully, purely generosity. There's always going to be a part that's like there's a tiny bit of a selfish agenda. But that right there, my friends, is actually where you get to take the credit off of yourself and put it on that higher being that you're connecting to, because you acknowledge that you have this selfish part of you, and you say, you know what? I'm going to be generous anyways. I'm going to give anyways, even though I know that there's still a very small fraction of myself that just wants something in return. I don't really care about that, because I'm just, like I'm seeking to do what's right. I'm seeking to do to achieve the betterment of this person, of this individual. And I think that that's part of the tension of our journey. And that's actually what necessitates meditation. It's what necessitates prayer on a regular basis. We're never going to be perfect, but we're always going to be in process. And I think recognizing that there's always going to be this yin and yang, right? Yeah. There's always going to be like chaos and order, black and white. It's always going to be that way. Just accept it. But just know that like in the pursuit of gratitude and generosity, there's this part of you that like doesn't want to do it. But then it's like, sorry, I'm kind of just like going off on a tangent. I'm going to finish this thought right now. Just to go back to that event that I went to. She talked about praying an hour a day. And a few years ago, I was actually doing that. And, but it was like really kind of a prideful thing. And I had this thought, I was like, I really want to start doing that again, but I don't want it to become like it was before. And, as she was talking about it, I was like, dude, I can totally do that. And I remember immediately just feeling like, because I can, I should. And actually it's, I've had so many conversations with people that were in that same session. And I asked them, I'm like, dude, what did you think about that? Like the hour of prayer a day? Like, are you going to start doing that? And 9 times out of 10, Zarin, they're like, no, I don't really feel like called to do that. Or like, it's just not part of my grace. Like they're like saying these Christian things. And I'm just like, you think you can't, I actually think that I can't go without it. Like I recognize that I actually can't, I'm desperate for that. And so that's the approach that I'm taking. Like literally without it, what am I? You know, I'm a very controlling, prideful, narcissistic, selfish person without it. And so anyways, I don't know what you want to take from that. I'm kind of leaving that thought like open-ended, but if you want to ask a question or go off of that, I can let you take the wheel.
I had one moment. Let me kind of ground. Hold on.
Okay. Sorry if I talk a lot. Okay.
So, recently, I have found myself, or caught myself, or recognized. I heard that through the microphone. You just popped your neck, and I heard it through my headset. That I've talked a lot about surface level intentions. And I have kind of perhaps thought about them or talked about them in as neutral of a way as possible, but maybe a little bit more towards negative than positive. Because it's just like, I feel like a lot of people have these surface level intentions and they don't really go deeper. And a lot of people get caught up in that layer of discovery. And I've been really pondering this, man. And I feel like I've recognized the importance of surface level intentions, because we have to begin somewhere. And me reflecting on this, doing my own discovery, realized that I used to work out to look good, to get girls, to whatever reason. That was a past version of myself that in reality was unbelievably necessary for me to be where I am. And for you to be meditating for an hour a day years ago, that version of you that was prideful was absolutely necessary to be able to re-enter that hour of power in a much better grounded position. And I'm seeing this more and more in myself, especially. And now that I recognize in myself, I'm able to recognize that in other people. Very naturally, that's how it goes, I feel like. The more we understand ourselves, the more we understand other people, the more compassion we feel for ourselves, the more compassion we have for other people, so on and so forth. And it makes it so much harder to judge people for really any given reason. Especially, I've talked about this with you a little bit. We can't really go too far into depth because of it's not really released yet. But understanding my own wounds and discovering wounds of myself that I didn't even know were there. Now I am able to be much more compassionate about other people who don't understand that there are wounds present, perhaps disrupting their system of operation. I do my best to be as mindful as possible. And if I'm continually discovering things, people who don't perhaps take as much time as I do to sit and be patient and contemplate, probably aren't discovering as many things or certain things about themselves either. It just brings it into such a different world, man. So once again, all of these versions of ourselves are absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're little boundaries in a pinball machine that just bring us back to where we should actually be.
Yeah.
And that's probably why I'm not sure if I believe anything is bad. Because in some way or another, internally, let's just take my own behavior, for example. Everything we do, I believe, is perhaps showing us how to behave or how not to behave.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a grounded, harmonious homeostasis somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Whether it's with too much caffeine, no caffeine, too much drinking, no drinking.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what that is. There is a spectrum in behavior.
Yeah.
And how can we ground into that more authentic, genuine, harmonious being internally? And I probably deeply believe a big part of discovering that is through meditation.
Yeah.
And just sitting back and being patient. Dude, you have gained so much patience the past few months. It's incredibly obvious to me. I can see it in how long it takes for you to respond or how well you listen now. Patience, dude. Just perceiving, receiving, observing everything.
Yeah.
You're necessary, bro. You are necessary, and your journey is necessary. And I learn from you. And I hope to do my best to help people learn from whatever's happening in here. And it's weird because I'm not even sure if I hope that anymore, bro. To be completely genuine and honest. It's almost as if I've been able to find a groove or feel like I found a path where my intention or approach is to be as genuine as possible. And whatever should blossom from that should blossom. I have no control over that. So to even hold hope on a response pulls me away from that grounded genuineness or whatever the fuck that means to me and whatever I'm internally discovering. And it's just where, like, I've talked about this so many times, but honing back in, dude, I find myself, the more mindful I become, the more mindful I'm able to recognize when a part of my consciousness and my attention is somewhere else. Even if it's a slight degree, it's still separated. And so that's why I talk in degrees a lot. Well, to a degree, there's this, because even if it's a fraction of yourself somewhere, that's still a part of yourself. So to find a way, man, to even bring it down to your approach or our behavior or what we are able to hold on to and control.
Yeah.
Dude.
Love it, bro. To go back to what you were talking about with the approach and how that affects the rest of our lives. So anybody who's listening, Zarin and I had this conversation about potential and maximum potential. And in the context of conversation, we realized that everything in life boils down to just those really small micro decisions that we make throughout the day. And our approach to those decisions determines the direction that our entire life takes. And to bring it to, the theology, I believe Christian theology. So there's a verse that says, all things work together for good to those who love God and who are called according to his purposes. And I'm not a huge advocate of like being like just on one side or the other, but there's anybody who's listening who's Christian knows about Calvinism. So Calvin, basically the idea is like once saved, always saved, or like once you are like you're basically God predetermines whether or not you're like one of his children or whatever. So the whole thought basically is like none of it is in our control. Like sure, we have a free will, but then at the same time it's like everything is preordained and orchestrated by a higher being. It's like all like from beginning to end of time is all predetermined. So that's kind of like a to me, a fairly extreme approach, because just because I really do believe that the way I relate to God is very spontaneous and I feel like it's adventurous and, I'm discovering things at a pace that's just exciting to me.
Well, you're intuitive and major creative as well.
Yeah, exactly. And, maybe even all of that is orchestrated by him because he's brilliant. But I I don't know. I just don't really like, I don't want to have that discussion. That's totally a different thing. Like if anybody else wants to like talk about that, we can pick that bone later. But what I'm trying to get at is that there's a concept in Christian theology. It's called repentance. And basically what that means in the Greek is to think about your thinking. And it literally means to just observe how you think and to be a third party critic to the way you think. And so if you are just going throughout life without thinking about the way you think, without meditation, without prayer, whatever ritual or practice it is that you would implement in your life to slow down and observe, you are not living a repentant lifestyle according to that definition. And to go back to that verse, it says, all things work together for the good of those who love God and who are called according to his purposes. And there's different verses in the Bible that talk about in order to love God, you need to obey God. In order to obey God, you have to recognize that you have a sinful nature. And in order to recognize that you need God, you have to recognize that you have a sinful nature. In order to get out of your sinful nature, you have to repent. And it's through that repentant process that you begin to learn how to love God. And if you're called according to his purposes, that means that before the foundations of the world, Zarin Beatty was your life was already predetermined to be in the exact same time frame that you are living in right now. And it's exactly the way it's meant to be. And with those two understandings, loving God and being called according to his purposes, all the bad stuff and all the good stuff adds up to be good. And I think about all 12 of my mug shots, and it's kind of funny. A lot of them I'm like smiling in, like I was just so happy. But it's just so funny if you want to look it up. But no, I realized that, like, just like you said, bro, like all the bad things in my life through that repentance actually turned to good. And it's through that, like, thinking about my thinking and through meditating on, my ways of life in contrast to, things that you'd see as a plumb line is what I like to, that's a different conversation, but
I have a question.
Go for it.
To wrap this up.
Okay.
How do you feel like we find what's right for us? Because we can hear a lot of different opinions or perspectives, or people talking, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. We can read a million different books. How do we really find what's right for who we are? Because there's only so much we can do with a given set of information that maybe should resonate with who we are. Not every sentence is going to resonate, but how do we really, really find who we are and what works for us?
I've heard once that all belief is a repeated phrase over time. Everything that you believe is actually can be broken down to words that you've repeated to yourself over your whole life. So, and I've talked to people who are like, I'm afraid of being by myself because ellipses, whatever it is. And maybe it's something negative that they believe about themselves, and then the question is, what is right and what is wrong? What is morality? And and this is crazy because everybody's conscience is a fraction different than, like, we're all born with a conscience. You can read that in health books in high school. We're all born with a conscience, and everybody's conscience, by and large, is the same, but then there's a fraction of it that's different, and it's molded by society. And over time, if we don't maintain a level of I'm going to bring it back to that word I used, repentance, or thinking, like meditation, really. If we don't bring it back to a certain level of observation and comparison to, and this will bring me to my next point, to like a written code that we've found for ourselves, then we're going to drift, and our conscience is going to be seared, or basically lose sensitivity. And so to go back to your question, I think for everybody, like, because everybody's experience is different, the conscience is going to be different. And so your moral code right now, the way it has been shaped throughout your entire life, is going to be way different than the person next to you. And also the words, the phrases that you've repeated to yourself over and over and over subconsciously over the years, which 75% of those are negative. Those are going to also play a part in that journey of discovering yourself. And so that's why it's a process, is because there's stuff that's like permanent in our brain, like our actual, there's neural pathways and things that go from our hippocampus to different parts of our brain that we're always repeating to ourselves subconsciously every single day. And so when you have those things, there needs to be a new language that you speak. Phrases that are good. So everything boils down to words, is what I'm trying to say. That's what I believe. Everything boils down to words. And if you can write out all the negative thoughts that you think about yourself and look at that, that is actually the beginning of hope. And the reason why I use the word hope specifically is because you're identifying with precision the things that are coming against your life. So you write those things out, but then you also, for me, I go to scripture, because there's a lot of scripture that helps me really identify my identity and who I am. Really actually, there's a lot of scriptures that are like really just generically good. Like Joshua 1:8 says, be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid, nor be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. There's also Joshua 1:3 that I have on my whiteboard today. It says, everywhere that the sole of your foot will tread, I have given you. So like when I walk throughout my life, I'm walking in authority, and I'm saying like, I am no longer a victim, things like that. And what happens is when you find these words, and I'm not at all saying like the Bible is the one for everybody. I actually personally believe, just because I am Christian, that Jesus is the Lord and Savior, and he's the way, the truth, and the life. And that's like the theology I believe, but that's just what I believe. I'm not at all saying that everybody needs to believe that, but I have found words, specific words, that I've repeated to myself over and over and over and over, that I'm choosing every day more and more to actually believe. And then what happens is that list of negative things that you repeat to yourself every day, that begins to take a back seat, because these words are in charge. But these words take work, and then the negative ones, just those come natural.
Beautiful response.
I don't know if my responses are too long.
No.
Okay.
They're not.
Okay.
And to just say thank you for patiently listening when I respond. because it helps me patiently listen when you respond.
Mm-hmm.
And I've really felt that this entire discussion, we've been able to allow ourselves the given amount of time, whatever that means, to respond and to really work through a notion and a thought and a meaning and a message. And thank you for being able to show up and provide that message with authority. That's a weird word to put on it, but with this empowered presence. So thank you.
Yeah.
It's really incredible because when you think about what you just said, a lot of that for me boils down to our environment, internal and external. And how do we shake up our environment? We do cold exposure. We do these different aspects that like shock your system into having to recalibrate in one way or another. Now, what is influencing your environment? The people, the discussions you're having, your internal thought patterns, these things that are conscious or unconscious. What's influencing that level of input, therefore feeding the words that are being created or produced out of seemingly thin air? They're just happening in the middle of time and space. What is creating that? Which is such a crazy concept. I've never even thought about that before. These inner workings are literally just producing themselves. It's like their own engine, just churning and churning.
You mean like as we're talking?
Just 24/7. That's bizarre, bro.
Yeah.
If you think about you being just a metaphysical structure full of atoms and molecules, there's just energy that's churning in different ways that is producing a feeling or sensation or thoughts.
Yeah. Dude, that's wild.
That's weird.
That's super weird. I love meditating on that.
I love you.
I love you too.
Do you have any remaining feelings or thoughts that you'd like to share right now? Anything that you really feel compelled?
Anything that I want to do in my life, I just want to do without idolizing the result. Something I was talking to Zarin about was like, just let go of the result. Like, I don't know if this podcast will impact anybody's life. It might be one person, two persons, three people. It might be a lot of people. It might be no people. Whatever it is, I just want to go at everything in life, just letting go of that. And I think that, I mean, I don't really need to go like deep into that, but I just think that the thing that has held me back from achieving my full potential is by clinging to results. And that's really generic, but we
also relatable.
Yeah. It's very, I mean, we do that all day. We, for those of us who are, I mean, I'm not married, but like for any listener who's married, if a guy's out at work, he's going to get home and he's hoping that, his wife is kind, or whatever. Or maybe there's some like bad news that he needs to share to his wife and he's hoping that she'll respond well. And these are all like normal things to think. But the biggest thing that I'm realizing is like love and truth is literally like the center of everything that actually matters. And love is generous. It doesn't expect anything in return. And truth is it's not a respecter of emotions. Like when and that's a totally different conversation. Like, what is truth? I guess what I'm saying is like, what is true to you? Like for me, like I'm just gonna be honest I'm just going to say like what I'm going through, and I'm not perfect, and I am choosing to like love myself because I know God loves me. And out of that, like I can like be in that truth, and we can be in that truth together, you know? And we've shared a lot of stuff like that. And so, anybody who doesn't know, Zarin has picked me up from the Ada County Sheriff's Department a couple times. I called him from there. And, I think, I mean, that's it right there. It's just letting go of results.
When we're able to let go of a result and just be what I feel like is genuine. I feel like genuine for me sums up just being who you are without any given need of a result or response. I even feel the word authentic isn't genuine, which is kind of a weird internal thing that I feel. But when we're able to just be who we are, we allow the people who are really around us to love us for who we are. And we allow the people around us to either judge us or not judge us. Every time that I have been there for you, there was no moment of judgment. And it's probably because you were just being who you were and reaching out and in some intuitive sense feeling a person that you could reach out to that could be there. When you were there for me, I have felt no judgment from you. There's something so powerful in people, and that's something that I really do value is when you learn how to be who you are, not who you think you are, who you really deeply are, you are able to build relationships with the people that should actually be in your life. And from there, your tribe grows from this deeply rooted place of deep, nutritious substance and growth and churn in the soil, this thing that fuels and feeds continually. Even when we aren't with each other, it feeds. And we meet up and it's like we never left. And it's always for the betterment of each other. It's so powerful. This is a whole other discussion. But
dude, for real.
Dude, thank you so much.
Thank you, man. It's an honor. I love the fact that I'm within the first year of the podcast. It's an honor, man. Glad to build this with you, bro.
It's pretty dope to build with you too. Thank you, Casey.
Of course.
Until next time.
Until next time.
There will be another time.